That is, of course, provided that you're using a neon bulb to capture any ultra high voltages. Ultra high, he says. God, it's only 100 odd volts. Anyway, right. So I'll show you this. That's basically my wiring loom for my bedini. So you've got plenty of voltage from the battery, and you've got the polarity correct. So now we need to double check your coil. Okay, start with the power coil, right, and just stick your multimeter across both contacts. Now, as you can see from my multimeter, mine's reading 25 ohms resistance, which for a PC fan, that's fine. I've got two others, and they range up to just shy of 50 ohms. So anyway, that's that one. So we know we've got a good circuit because it's coming up. So let's try now the trigger coil. There we go. Trigger coil. That's reading just under 24 ohms, which is fine. There will be a slight difference between the trigger coil and the power coil. It should be that the trigger coil has a slightly higher resistance than the power coil, because your trigger coil's running a much thinner wire. It has a higher resistance, but it shouldn't be anything more than double, he says. Anyone running sort of 1,000 winds and above on their coils, it might be slightly more than that. Off the top of my head, I can't actually work it out as to how much it's supposed to be. Plus also, if you're not using the standard wire, then that'll change the resistances again. So you've tested the two sets of coils. Right, while you're at it, just check between the coils. So take one of the trigger coil wires and one of the power coil wires, like that, and there should be no conductivity between them. So as you can see, my multimeter on there is reading 1, which means that it's higher than 200 ohms. So I'm happy that there's no short between the coils there. So hopefully that's resolved your problem. Anything below, if your coils are registering below, say probably 10, maybe 15 ohms, then that could be too low. So it could indicate a short in your coils. So, and if you're running a large bedini, the standard one with the wheels, then you should have a high resistance anyway. But anyone that's following my example and using PC fans, then you shouldn't have anything below sort of 10-15 ohms. Right, so let's connect this one back up again. Another problem that I've seen is people connecting the battery the wrong way around. Believe it or not, it is possible. The symptoms for that will be that your bedini coil is on all the time, as in it's constantly powered. So it will be trying to attract the magnet all the time. Now there will be some attraction from the magnet to your core, even when it's not powered at all. But if you've got the battery on the wrong way round, there will be quite a hefty force trying to keep the magnet to the coil. So if you've got that problem, then you've got the battery connected the wrong way around. Right, okay. Now, how do you diagnose other problems? Good question. Okay, what you can try doing, anyone that's got a large bedini, one with a wheel, how do you diagnose problems from here? Okay, what you can try doing is disconnecting the trigger coil, stick your multimeter over the two wires and switch it over to volts. Right, you should really have it set to AC volts, up to about 200. So once you've got your trigger coil on your multimeter, give your wheel a flick and it should generate a voltage. Some multimeters, because of basically what comes back from the coil, some multimeters won't recognise that voltage as being there basically. So in that case then switch it to DC volts and see if it'll pick it up. So if you've got it on AC volts and your coil's not reading anything, when you flip your wheel pretty quick, but not too quick, then switch it to DC, see if you get a voltage. If it goes off the scale, wonderful, then you know it's feeding something back. So you don't need to get an exact voltage. Right, so so at that point your trigger coil's firing and it's sending a pulse back to your transistor. You've swapped the wires over to try them and it's still not working. Right, so what do? Right, the next thing you can do, what I'm doing here is using solder and strip board. This board has copper tracks running, well, as you can see, underneath that you solder to. Now, I don't recommend anyone that's doing a bedini for the first time to actually solder their circuits. Simple reason being that there's a lot that can go wrong. Right. That multimeter is a more expensive multimeter. I've had it since I was 16, so that'll be 11.5 years ago, and it cost quite a bit of money back then, so it'll be even more now. It's a Smart 2. It literally tests pretty much everything: capacitance, transistors, amps, AC and DC, resistance, diodes, AC and DC volts, does everything. Right, now the John Bedini himself recommends to use this sort of diamond shaped transistor. I've got nothing against them, they're just a pain in the butt to test. Right, but in this day and age, I'll show you this somehow. Right, this is it's a 2S C4242. Right, it's a power transistor capable of handling up to 400 volts and switching continuous at 7 amps, pulsed at 14 amps. So more than capable of handling a bedini or two. Okay, you can see this one came out of a power supply. Okay, so with these are easy to test, which is why I'm showing you. So on this multimeter, I'm going to set it for testing transistors.